And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical weather bulletin for August 31st. Typhoon Maysak is the main feature today, a Category 2 and intensifying in the western Pacific, but what appears to be quiet in the western half of the world is not quite as it seems when we take a closer look, because the Atlantic has 4 areas of interest, 2 of them more likely than not to become tropical cyclones, one of which off the US East Coast and one of them in the Caribbean NHC with even higher chances than what we've laid out there, with chances for more cyclone development out east over the Atlantic itself. Day 109 in the eastern Pacific, what's left of Isel moving along the Baja California coast and a 10% chance to the south. Maysak there, a Category 2 and headed towards the northwest and an area of interest to its east, and that could develop in the wake of the storm. And no systems active in the Indian Ocean at this point. It's all quiet here yet again and will remain so for a little while yet. So let's take a closer look at Typhoon Maysak, 105 miles per hour, pressure of 955 millibars, latest estimate. Current position is 230 miles southeast of Miyakojima, 22.7 north, 128.3 degrees east. The storm will continue to parade up the northwest there off the coast of Okinawa, become a Category 4 quite likely, and then slam into southern South Korea, maybe the southeastern area, as a significant typhoon on day 3. This is still speculative at the moment. This is the wind probabilities for tropical storm conditions. The models seem quite unflappable there with a tropical storm conditions in the southern part extremity of South Korea. JTWC forecast map going for 140 miles per hour at peak, not far from Okinawa, and a landfall there in the central part of southern South Korea, if that makes sense, at 105 miles per hour, if that verifies. It already got away with one storm just about missing in the form of Bavi. Maybe this one will do the same, but at the moment not looking like it. So here's the Atlantic. You can see the Caribbean wave there. That's looking particularly pronounced this evening. And off the US East Coast, you can see a trail there of clouds that could develop into something later on. This is the Gulf of Mexico, fairly quiet here, which is good news after what we've had recently. And now the Eastern Pacific then, you can see the naked swirl of Isel, what's left of it, moving just off the coast of Baja California Sur. And you can see that other little area of interest down there, some convection blowing up in the tropical zone, and still rather low latitude, needs to detach before it gets anything going. Western Pacific, it's pretty clear cut. You can see quite clearly the influence of Typhoon Maysak and that other area far to its east, which is somewhat influenced by the storm, north of the Northern Mariana Islands, and that could develop as it moves northwest on day 4 through 6 and could later down the line affect the coast of Japan. The South Pacific looking fairly quiet, a few thunderstorms drifting westwards towards the Solomon Islands, but nothing much really. A few thunderstorms over Papua New Guinea as well. The Indian Ocean, a blob of convection over western India and Pakistan, and also over the southern tip of India at the moment. Further east, you've got some general monsoonal patterns occurring over Indochina. Sea surface temperatures then in the eastern Pacific, you can see a bit of a trail has opened up there in the wake of Hernan and Isel, but still warm temperatures hugging the coast of Mexico, 28 degrees or more. The Atlantic already recovering after Laura, 30 degrees still though in the western part of the Gulf of Mexico and off the western coast of Florida, and still plenty other areas that are very warm to sustain significant tropical cyclones. And that's something we're watching out for very closely in September. The Indian Ocean, still as you were last time really, 28 degrees generally across the whole basin, one or two little pockets of 30. And in the Western Pacific, even though Bavi moved through last week, still there is some opportunity for Maysak in the East China Sea, not quite as opportunistic as Bavi had, but all the way up to the island of Jeju and nearly towards the southeastern tip of the mainland of South Korea, temperatures are up above 28 degrees. Sea surface temperature anomalies, you can see the cold trail off Korea there. First thing you notice. Off Japan though, much warmer anomalies than usual. The Eastern Pacific is getting cold on average, to be honest, when you take the whole basin into question. And the Atlantic is way above average overall as well, with a more pronounced trail of warmer waters in the western and northwestern Atlantic. So this is a look at Typhoon Maysak today, and you can see there, by the way, we've got a live satellite feed on the Force 13 channel right now of this storm, so you can watch it in real time. And you can see the eye starting to get itself out there. Looks like it might have had a dry air slot, but the eastern side is certainly the part that needs to finish up. The western one is blowing up very nicely, and you can see the big convective cloud tops that have blown up there. Reminds me very much of early stages of Laura, actually, when it was intensifying last week, and the eye is starting to pop through there as well, down into the minus 30s in temperature. The eastern side lacking though, needs more work, but that's all that's stopping this storm from reaching category 3 or 4 status, and the authorities think that rapid intensification is about to begin. Let's take a look at what models think then. The HWRF calls for a low category 4, not quite as high as JTWC, believe it or not. CTCX, which did call for a category 5 last time, now wants a mid-range category 4. Wind shear will be low until the 2nd of September, when it spikes up drastically. Sea surface temperature is okay for a while, relative humidity good, and there's the track forecast. So it's looking pretty clear cut that this storm will affect the eastern half of the Korean Peninsula. And this is now looking at the Invest 99L, which is in the Caribbean, now got a tropical cyclone formation alert. The HMON thinks it will get to minimal hurricane status, very early on though. Wind shear looks to be moderate generally across the storm's lifespan, so there could be some opportunities for this as it moves on through the western Caribbean towards the coast of Belize, which is where models have the crosshairs for potential landfall at the moment on day 4 or 5. On this day in August the 31st, 2018, we had this picture, and we were tracking it, of course. Hurricane Miriam and Hurricane Norman in the Eastern Pacific, Tropical Depression 6, which was about to become Florence, and Super Typhoon Jebi, Category 5, peaking on this day with winds of at least 180 miles per hour. A very big storm was Jebi, and very picturesque as well, as you can see on that imagery there. So the next name on the Atlantic naming list might be coming sooner than you think. It will be Nana, followed by Omar. In the Eastern Pacific, the next name is Julio, followed by Karina. The Central Pacic's next name we're still waiting for is Hone. Further west, we've got Haishen, the next name in the Western Pacific, followed by Nul. In the North Indian Ocean, the next name on list 1 is Gati. The Southern Hemisphere about to start up another month or so, or maybe a little bit longer, depending on how it's going. Imogen is next in the Australian region, Alicia first up in the Southwest Indian Ocean, and Yolanda next up in the South Pacific. That's all for now. We'll have another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night. Check out our new look cyclone tracker on the Force 13 website for the latest up-to-date information. You can also find us, of course, on our YouTube channel, search Force 13, and also on Facebook and Twitter, Force 13 at Force 13 on Twitter for the latest updates. You can also help the project become even better by becoming an Ultimate Fan on YouTube. To see the full list of Ultimate Fan benefits and to join, visit youtube.com/force13/join. With a special thanks to our top supporters this month. You can also check out our growing merch store so you can show Force 13's colours wherever you go. You can also find a link to our Discord server underneath this video in the description.